Going on, everyone? So there's a lot of questions surrounding Chicago Bulls and DeMar DeRozan. The Chicago Bulls are absolutely abysmal. They are on a one-game win streak from the time of recording this video. They are currently sitting at 10-16 on the season, but they are a good game out of the play-in spot. But is that where they want to be? Do they really want to be a play-in team? At what point do you decide, all right, enough is enough, let's hit the reset button and let's just go a new direction? You would imagine that with Zach Lavine on the trading block, at some point, DeMar DeRozan will follow. Now, based on several reports and just things that are coming in, it looks like Chicago, their first agenda is to trade Zach Lavine. They want to trade him before the trade deadline, so they want to get him traded as soon as possible to see what the Chicago Bulls look like with the current team, minus Zach Lavine, and then whatever new pieces that they add, and see if maybe that's something that they could use to kind of leverage for next year and going forward. I personally don't think that that's the greatest idea, because if DeMar DeRozan was like 26, 27, sure, but he's 34. Also, is that something that DeMar DeRozan really wants to do? Right? Does DeMar DeRozan really want to be in a team that's just a, perennial play-in team? Or at some point, does he want to try to play for an NBA championship? It's a real question, right? But regardless, it looks like the Chicago Bulls want to ship out Zach Lavine first, see what the return is, see what it looks like, and then make the decision on a DeMar DeRozan, on a Alex Caruso, on a Nikola Vucevic, things like that. And DeMar DeRozan, the question is, does he even really want to be traded? Because the Chicago Bulls have said, hey, you know what? We want to re-sign DeMar DeRozan. That's the goal, to keep DeMar for the long haul. DeMar DeRozan said about a month or so ago that, he would love to finish his career in Chicago, that he'd love to re-sign with Chicago. And it looks like DeMar DeRozan reiterated that yesterday in an interview. So here's what was said. Me being in the league so long, I understand this period of time. It just comes with the occupation, DeRozan said, per the Chicago Tribune. I really don't pay no mind to it. My priority is to be here, make this organization and this team successful, and get through whatever tough stuff we're going through. He also added, based on DeMar DeRozan had previously said to Sportskeeda, Mark Mendia, that he wanted to retire with the Bulls. He told Poe that none of that has changed. Again, this is what I was talking about a little over like a month or so ago, where he talked about how he wanted to retire. He wanted to finish his tenure with the Bulls, and that hasn't changed. He also said, I don't have no other type of doubts or feelings or suggestions to be elsewhere, DeRozan said. That don't cross my mind. So DeRozan to the Lakers sounds very bleak, right? Now, you could look at this basically one of two ways. You could look at this as like, hey, DeMar DeRozan is saying the truth. He wants to be Chicago Bull. He wants to stay in Chicago, and he wants to retire and finish his career in Chicago, and is willing to go through whatever he has to go through with Chicago and hopefully win a championship with Chicago. I don't know how realistic that is, but you never know, right? Couple right moves, couple right pieces. Maybe you get another star at some point in the next year or two, especially the way that these stars keep being, disgruntled and end up traded. You never know, right? I don't ever want to say it won't happen anytime soon, but more likely than not, it wouldn't. More likely than not, DeMar DeRozan, if he stays with the Bulls, is going to finish his career without a championship. But maybe he really does. Maybe he doesn't care. Not everybody cares about NBA championships as much as we want them to. And, even if he goes to, say, the Lakers, there's no guarantee he would win an NBA championship. I think his odds are far more likely than with Chicago, but you never really know, right? A lot can happen regardless. So the thing is, you might as well be where you want to be if he really, truly wants to be in Chicago. The other side of it is that, what is he supposed to say? Nah, Chicago's trash, get me out of here. Right? Some players say that, but DeMar's never really been that guy. He's a veteran. He's 34. He's a company man, so to speak, right? He's not going to go out there and throw the team and the organization under the bus. He's going to say the appropriate answer and then kind of let the cards fall. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes, what kind of conversations they've had. And also, does Chicago ultimately want to keep him? Chicago has said that they want to and look to re-sign him, all of that. But you never really know, right? Chicago, they could have had conversations of like, hey, we're going to trade you if things don't go well. Or it could just be like a, hey, let's wait and see type thing. But you got to imagine that if Chicago does want to trade DeMar, he would want to go to the Lakers. I mean, DeMar DeRozan has said numerous times that he wanted to be a Laker. He thought he was going to Lakers. I mean, he did like an entire tour last season while he was with Chicago and talked to like Taylor Rooks and all kinds of people about how he thought and was bummed that he didn't get to be a Laker and that he thought he was headed to the Lakers, right? So I don't have a doubt in my mind that he would want to be a Laker, but the question is like, what route does Chicago ultimately want to go? And the problem is that if the Lakers trade for Zach Lavine, then there goes any hope of DeMar going to the Lakers. And that could be something that DeMar is aware of also, right? DeMar could be looking at his situation and going, okay, if I go into free agency, the Lakers aren't going to be able to sign me because I'm not going to sign a vet minimum contract. So the Lakers aren't going to be able to pay me. So I'm not going to be able to play for the Lakers if they're not going to trade me until after Zach Lavine is traded. And so I'm not available at the time. Then the Lakers probably trade for Zach Lavine. And then I definitely am not going to be able to go to the Lakers. So, what other place can I go to? What other place do I want to go to? I might as well just stay in Chicago. So, I mean, that could be another type of thing where it's like, if I'm not going to ever be able to go to the Lakers, then I might as well just stay in Chicago. The other thing is that like, you can make the argument, okay, well, if DeMar really wants to go to Lakers so bad, why not just make it public? Why not push for that? But again, it's a couple things. Not all players are like that. I mean, we've seen players over the years that just, they won't make that. I mean, Dame even for a long time, right? And he got spurned by the Toronto Raptors. So, like, how does he feel about the situation? The other thing is that, like, even if he wants to go to the Lakers, Chicago has to still want to trade him, right? So if Chicago's not interested in trading him right now, even if he wants to be traded, that doesn't mean that they will trade him to the Lakers. And even if he does come out and say, hey, I want to be traded and go to Lakers, they're going to try to probably get the best package possible. And more teams may be interested in trading for DeMar DeRozan over Zach Lavine because he's an expiring contract. So then does DeMar DeRozan want to run the risk of like some lottery team trading for him and buying him out? And now he has that on his record, right? Like, look at like guys like Russell Westbrook. And look, DeMar DeRozan is still an excellent player, but he is 34 years old. And how many teams are looking at DeMar DeRozan and going, okay, that's the missing piece. That's the guy we need. It's something to keep in mind. So once again, all signs kind of point towards Zach Lavine, which is a bummer. I still think push comes, because there's a lot of time between now and the trade deadline, right? Because nothing's going to happen. Yes, the Lakers can officially trade several players, but nothing is going to happen anytime soon. Nothing's ultimately going to happen until January 15th at the earliest. And more likely than not, that'll be the time that they start negotiations, and it won't be finalized and everything will be done for at least a couple days after. So don't expect any type of trade whatsoever until, between the 15th of January and the trade deadline, which is February 8th. And, Zach Lavine, especially if Chicago wants to get a deal done ASAP, they may just say, hey, just give us, Rui, D'Lo, and whatever, Gabe Vincent or whatever, and we'll give you Zach Lavine. Let's see what this team looks like with these guys added in replace of Zach Lavine, because the Bulls have been much better without Zach Lavine. So they could look at it as like, okay, we get D'Lo, so we get an actual point guard that could play alongside DeMar DeRozan. We get Rui Hachimura, who could play the power forward position for us. So we could go like a D'Lo, DeMar DeRozan, Williams, Rui, and Vu, and let's see what that looks like, right? That could be something that they consider, right? And the Lakers, maybe they get a Zach Lavine and an Andre Drummond or something, right? that is definitely a possibility. And the Chicago Bulls, they'll probably be as patient as possible, but there's a lot of time between now and the trade deadline. I still really lean heavily towards DeMar DeRozan eventually being a Laker. But I mean, if he's willing to be patient, he's willing to kind of see how this all plays out. If the Lakers don't feel like Zach Lavine is going to be ready in time, and DeMar DeRozan is going to be ready in time, and Zach Lavine is on the table, one in the hand is worth two in the bush. So you might as well just go get Zach Lavine. But time will tell. We will see. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you think the Lakers are, it's a no-go with DeMar DeRozan? Do you think, no, he's just showing face, he's just trying to do the right thing? Do you think, no, ultimately they're going to trade for Zach Lavine? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below.